Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. We're back over at JC Raulston Arboretum in Raleigh, North Carolina, and it's early January, and I've gotten Mark out in the, 26 degrees or whatever it is this morning, of course. But we wanted to come over here and talk about some winter interest things. Can you reintroduce yourself to the audience, Mark?
Sure, I'm Mark Weathington. I'm director of the JC Raulston Arboretum. I got one of the best jobs in the world because I play with plants all day. You do that too, so
right.
You get it.
Yeah. A day waking up talking about plants. You know, people ask me if I'm nervous when I go up on a stage or something, and I'm like, no, I'm talking about plants. As long as I don't have to talk about people.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or remember names or any of those kinds of things other than plants. So the purpose of this video is just to kind of, I talk about frequently people should visit gardens at different times of the years because there's a lot of, we tend to shop for plants in April and load up the truck with flowering things in April, and then your garden kind of does this and then does this. Yeah. And so there's so many interesting things over here at the Raulston, and we're going to jump in and show you a few examples of that. We could start with stem color.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the winter garden, and I want to jump on something you said real quick. I work with a lot of nurseries. I know you work closely with them, and something that happens, I talk about a great plant to the nurseryman. I'm like, you should produce this, and they say, yeah, but it flowers at an off time when people aren't in the nursery. So people have to ask for these plants after seeing them at gardens. But you're right, stem color is amazing. There are some phenomenal plants with stem color. This is one of my favorites. This is a Japanese maple. We love our Japanese maples here. This is one called Bihu, and I mean, it just glows. And one of the things that's really fun with stem color in the winter garden is you get the sun low in the sky, and it's that kind of more gold color, not the real bright glare that you get in the summer. And if you position your plants right, boy, you can get that real warm glow to them. This one takes on some orange tones in the right light, and we back it up with some evergreen hedges, so it really pops during the winter.
It pops off the front. I really never thought about that in the winter time because the sun is on a lower angle. That's one of the reasons the stem color showing up.
It really is makes a big difference.
Right.
And then it's a beautiful plant the rest of the year as well. But you're likely to walk by this in the middle of the summer because there's so much else going on, but you come out in the winter and all of a sudden you're like, I've got to have that plant.
Yeah, for sure. Outside of something like stem color, there's also the form and shape that we can see on something like this weeping elm behind us.
Yeah, exactly. Stem color is great. The form I really love. And we think of things like weeping trees when we think of form. We've talked about how popular upright plants are. That form is great. And it's not just weeping and upright plants. Some of our regular upright trees look beautiful in the winter. But there's something like this that can be a real piece of art. And depending on the type of weeping plant, you can prune it into, a real piece. You can let it go. Some of them will go up and then weep. Some will crawl across the ground unless you stake them up. So there's a lot that you can kind of create the perfect size tree for your garden as well, because you can stake it up until it gets the height you want and let it go.
Yeah, and that's one point about buying weeping trees is you probably want to buy them kind of toward the height you want them. I see a few of the weeping red buds being sold about 3 feet tall. That's as tall as that thing's going to be. Unless you stake it up, unless you have to work on it.
Now, one thing I've started doing, I've got a weeping Japanese maple, because we love our Japanese maples, at my home that I've had in a container on the ground, a tall container, and it weeps over. And it's gotten a little bit tall for that. It's kind of creeping on the ground. I'm moving that. I've got a big hanging basket. I'm going to plant it in that and put it in my woodland and really just let it drape all the way down.
As far as you never have to prune it.
And it's perfectly hardy, so it'll be out in that hanging basket in the wintertime, and I'm not worried about it out there.
So how many different plants are actually out here in this garden approximately?
So we have a little over 8,000 different plants out here.
Okay,
so,
gotcha. So so you would find this is a weeping elm that you'll find that some are probably going to be a little rare in the trade, but then there's a lot of things in here that are readily available. So if you were looking for a weeping tree, It's here.
It's here. Yeah, we've got some of the real popular new weeping red buds. We've got weeping cherries that are out there. Just all kinds of plants.
A weeping taxodium that's always a big draw for me over here.
The other great way to use weeping plants for any time, but winter as well, is people get scared of vines. I love them, but with an arbor, you can grow something like a weeping taxodium, a weeping bald cypress up over an arbor, and it's a little easier to control than a vine that can grow out of bounds.
Right, that's good thought.
Here in the South in central North Carolina, 7B, 8A, we can grow a lot of plants that flower during the winter. We're really lucky with that. We've got the camellias, of course, which are kind of the classic winter flowering plants. We've got mahonia, which are amazing in the winter. But we have a bunch of evergreen magnolias from Asia that will flower in the middle of winter. This is Magnolia maudier. And you have to search a little bit, specialty nurseries, to find it, but they're becoming more common. And we have them that'll start flowering as early as December, and many of them will keep flowering off and on all the way to spring. So we get really cold weather, flowers can get a little browned out, but then new ones will come out. And what's great about these is they're really nice and fragrant. And that's something that people don't always appreciate about these winter flowering plants. Think of winter daphne with fragrance and winter sweet with that great fragrance. And I've always speculated, I don't know if it's true, but since there are fewer pollinators out during the winter, these winter flowering plants are really fragrant, and the fragrance kind of floats on the through the garden on the breeze, that's there to attract those pollinators to them. So just beautiful plants, and I love having things flowering during the winter. It really kind of lifts us up a little bit, and we don't even have to wait for spring like some other folks. Another great feature for the winter garden for us is foliage. And we think of the broadleaf evergreens, they're great hollies, they're great variegated plants, but some other herbaceous and semi-herbaceous plants look great during the winter too. Of course, hellebores are the obvious, but we really love the agaves. And people think agaves need to be in, desert-like conditions, but they really don't necessarily. They need good drainage, but they can grow and actually love ordinary garden soil if they have drainage. This is my favorite by far. This is the whale tongue agave ovata. It has these big broad leaves, kind of dark spine tips. It doesn't set off a lot of pups. You only get the pups when it flowers, so you have these big kind of individual plants, really striking on there. I just think they're beautiful, and they look great all winter long. Now we've got this paired with another plant that I really like that a lot of people don't know or don't know in this form. This is an ornamental form of artichoke. Believe it or not, an artichoke is a big thistle, and that's what this is. This is Cynara or cardoon, which is what we call the ornamental form. So what's great about this plant is it becomes a big mound during the winter. It grows with this beautiful silvery foliage. It can get, by the end of winter, 3 or 4 feet tall in this big mound like a shrub. And then in early spring, it'll send up these shoots with these massive, just almost iridescent purple thistle heads. Looks just like a small thistle, but tall. And then it dies back to the ground. And you cut the whole thing off, and over the summer it'll put up some little silvery leaves, but not much, and people think it's gonna die. And then winter comes, it gets cold, and all of a sudden it starts going again. So this is still in its early stages. It'll just grow more and more all winter and get showier and showier. And what I love is we cut it back during the summer, and other perennials can come up around it, and so you can really pack plants in. So we've got dormant perennials, things are going dormant under it, but they'll have all the sun and all the space they need when they get growing. And these are often sold as winter annuals or biennials, but we keep them going for years and years. Conifers, the pines and cedars and spruces and bald cypress and those sorts of things, were one of my first loves when I got in horticulture. And here at the JC Raulston Arboretum, we take special pride in conifers because 40, 50 years ago, when Dr. JC Raulston started the Arboretum, people told him you can't grow conifers in the South. And so he did what we still do. He planted a whole bunch of them, killed a whole bunch of them, but found out that a lot grow well. One of the ones we really like group is the cedars, the true cedars. This is a deodar, Cedrus deodara, Feeling Blue. And this is one you can find in garden centers. It's a nice low one. A lot of conifers get big, but there are a lot of dwarf conifers as well. I can't say enough about this. It stays blue all season long. It's great with other plants around it. It's great during the summer with gold flowering plants, things like that, but really just a lovely plant. And you can find a conifer any size, from very, very small, like a little basketball, all the way up to, you know, a 60 or 80 foot tree. And look for them in ones that are going to give you some real interest, like these blues. There are gold conifers. There are ones that will kind of shift colors when it gets colder and shift back from greens to almost oranges during the winter. There's just a lot out there that you can see. And as we were talking about earlier, you know, come visit gardens at different times of the year, because you really can see how they change through the seasons. And a plant like this looks different in the middle of the summer than it does in the middle of the winter. So, you know, the winter garden, it's not a sterile thing at all. You know, just right here, we've got a mahonia that's in full flower. That when it warms up a bit, we're going to have pollinators all over this thing. And we have pollinators during the winter out here, and so they need flowering plants. We've got evergreens like this cinnamon relative. This is a Litzia that's a beautiful evergreen, but we have lots of those types of evergreens. Some of our things that are dormant, grasses, are still beautiful during the winter, and you want to leave them up because the seed heads are good for some of the birds that come through. And we won't cut this back until much later in late winter, early spring, because it provides some real display. And when the sun hits it right, grasses just glow when they're dormant. Of course, we have things like camellias that are in flower. And while we don't really have camellias that'll flower all the way through the season, a single one, if you grow several camellias, you can have them flowering early in fall, all the way through every single month until we get to spring and your azaleas are starting to flower. So you really can cover the season. And then I am a nut for colored leaves, variegated leaves, things like that. And there are a ton of these broadleaf evergreens that are variegated and beautiful. And the hollies especially, you know, these red berries really show up against the variegated leaves. And there are gold leaf ones. There are ones that are variegated with white, variegated creamy gold, solid gold leaves. There's really just a lot out there. So I really encourage you to wherever you are, go visit gardens, see them at different times of the year. The number of times I talk to people and they say, oh yeah, I've been to your arboretum, or I've been to that garden before, as if they have then seen that garden. No, you haven't seen a garden if you've only seen it one time. You really have to see it over the seasons and over the years as it evolves.
Foliage color, we'll wrap this up with, I mean, I think that these chartreuse plants, and everybody knows I'm kind of almost famous for overdoing the chartreuse plants, but this is the time of year they really shine.
Yeah, I agree, and I love them too. This gardenia, sold as golden doubloon, was the first plant I planted when I was starting my new garden. And really the reason is it's beautiful during the summer, but during the fall and into winter, I think it's spectacular. And foliage color, you know, we're so lucky. You go up north, they don't have many broadleaf evergreens at all. And we have such a variety, and they can look great all season long. You know, I don't know why more people don't. use them.
Yeah, and a part of it is I think the time of year they're standing out, and again the time of year they're visiting gardens. The whole thing just adds up. But when you walk through here now, it's the grass in through this little entryway space. It's really the grasses that are standing out, and these brightly colored broadleaf evergreens.
Yeah, exactly. It's the herbaceous perennials and other things during the summer kind of take the show here, but really this is. We always try to, as much as we design here, we always try to have multi-season interest. So, through here we've got the grasses, we've got the colored evergreens, we've got form from plants all through. And it's important to think about all year through with your garden.
Yeah, real quick, as you just touched on something about this garden, is you can go to gardens that are really, they were almost
well designed.
No, well, not even. It's not well designed. It's like almost overly designed. And what cost. The costs are high too for all the things you're seeing, where with the walls and everything. This is really a testing facility for.
Yeah, we want to plant these things, see how they do, and then help get them in the industry, or a lot of things come through the industry, and not everybody does a good job of really vetting the plants, and so we do that some as well. Say, hey, you may want to grow this one instead of this one to the nursery. Tell the nurseryman that. But yeah, this is a testing ground, and while we try and make it as aesthetically pleasing as possible, we are more about how does this plant perform than we are about does this look good with this.
And this is this video is not only a call out to homeowners to come out and visit gardens at different times of the year. It's also a call out to nurserymen that this garden is here, and there's probably things here that have now stood some test of time that deserve an opportunity to that would sell. If you put this in a container on a shelf, it's going to sell.
Exactly. And that's and going the other way also for consumers to go to nurserymen during the off season and look at what they have, and maybe we'll get more nurserymen growing plants that are flowering during the winter that are doing different things if we're going at different times. And to that end, we're busy. I always tell people we are so busy with programs spring and fall. There's so much going on out here that we do all of our planting in the middle of winter and the middle of summer. Yes, spring and fall is the best time to plant. But we do it in the middle of winter.
And I have a great love of these winter flowering things because it was the only time of year I got a break as a nurseryman, as a landscaper. So, I love these things that were the only time of year I got to enjoy my garden. I wanted it looking pretty good.
Exactly.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Mark, always for being on and participating. And I think this is good information for people just to think about, that we're lucky to be in a place where we can have a 12-month garden.
We really are. And we can get out and enjoy it in the middle of winter.
Yes, true.
That's the other thing that's nice about these plants. We can get out and walk around our gardens, walk around the neighborhood.
Exactly.
Even when it's 20-some degrees.
Exactly. Thanks, guys.